Hey everybody, how you doing? Hey, look, one of my viewers, Jacink, said that he was disappointed in some of the comments because they just dissolved into insults. Well, first of all, thank you for supporting the channel, and not just me, but the other vloggers here. We have more than just me, fortunately. But the pattern goes like this. No one wants to have intellectual exchange anymore. Well, few do, some. But what I find is when the subject matter has to do with something that's political, and like it or not, this AIDS issue is in its way political, rather than debate the finer points of what was done, they would rather dissolve in insults. And I find, unfortunately, that tends to also divide along ethnic lines. In other words, rather, the vast majority of the insults come from white viewers, male viewers, who don't understand or want to understand economics or government procedure or government code or law or anything else. They just are upset. Now, but what they're upset about is the biggest question of all, because if their anger were rightly placed, it would be at Oakland's government. Oakland's government has sought to extort the Oakland Athletics. It has slow-rolled this process. It has hidden money from the public and arguably the A's. The A's are not experts at tax increment financing, even if they have consultants who they say are. They're not. Otherwise, they could have relied on those consultants to implement the whole shebang for them. But what's most heinous is the city of Oakland has used the Athletics in this fashion, having them pay for staff time, on top of just trying to figure out how to nickel and dime them, and not even working in accordance with the SB 293 Skinner law that Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf helped get passed along with then Assemblyman, now California Attorney General Rob Bonta, and lest we not forget Buffy Wicks locally, among others. So, although Buffy didn't put her name on it, she didn't vote against it either, or take a stance against it. I'm talking about are the pieces of legislation that were designed to ease the Oakland Athletics financial path and regulatory path in Oakland, okay? Which makes all of these fans arguing against the use of public money in Las Vegas sound really hypocritical, because they didn't argue against it in the Oakland context. They didn't pay attention to it. They didn't pay attention to the balls and strikes in government. The city was given this gift by signature of California Governor Gavin Newsom, October 11th of 2019. On that date, it should have immediately announced the city. And you're listening to the person who told Dave Cobble that public money could be gotten in this way. Because prior to my informing him of that fact, he swore up and down that public money couldn't be used. I pointed to the legislation where he was wrong. And he admits that. This isn't something that Dave is hid from, okay? He admits that. Because the reason I did it was very simple. I told him, you're not going to be able to get a ballpark done unless you help build affordable housing, unless you provide a subsidy program. $85 million, thereabouts, for affordable housing. And tax increment financing will get you there. That was my idea. And I might add, the same approach works in Nevada too, because of the economic difficulties everybody is going through. But I digress. The city should have, by that fall, established meetings with the county of Alameda to get their buy-in for the use of the tax increment revenue. I mean, let's put things in perspective. We're not talking about the whole city. We're talking about 55 acres of land. That's it. All right? Now, sure, there were other versions of the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District map that were proposed, but what happened was that a lot of people didn't stop to do the numbers to see, hey, look, could you get away with the assessed value that would be put just on the 55 acres? The answer is yes. In other words, what I'm saying is, could enough tax increment revenue have been generated, not just for the infrastructure of the ballpark, but for community benefits on just the 55 acres? I built my own spreadsheet, and I figured out that was the case, because I built hundreds of spreadsheets and done thousands of runs over my life, 37 years, around tax increment financing alone, okay? Alone. So the city, but back to what they didn't do. They didn't do that. They didn't set up an immediate meeting. They had a project manager that year. So what Betsy Lake does, who's the assistant city administrator, is on February 26th of 2019, she issues an email to Dave Cobble, which says, hey, I'm paraphrasing, but I have the actual email, $297,000 is already in for a Howard Terminal project manager. We need the additional $117,000. It's not there. Can you wire it tomorrow? This is her emailing Dave Cobble. That's inappropriate. Why? Because, first of all, she's not the revenue officer. Second of all, she doesn't refer to a fund balance. The bottom line, there are no security protections that authorize the transactions, okay, and monitor them. Sure, she had CC'd 4 city officials, but if you take a look at the city officials she CC'd, they don't attach to anything like, say, the Howard Terminal Public Financing Authority or the City of Oakland head of a revenue division, nothing like that. They don't refer to a fund number. It was, in one word, unprofessional. It made Betsy Lake look like the Godfather. Pay me or else. And indeed, the city under Libby Schaff, my god sister, who was the mayor, former mayor and all, who should have hired me but didn't, because had she hired me, I'd have developed a structure. And with structure comes security. I'm talking about structure of organizations, like a Howard Terminal Public Financing Authority, like employing people from around the country who are skilled at setting up the legal frameworks for these, that have done these for many different stadium situations, like, for example, Dallas Cowboys or the Oakland Raiders to Las Vegas, who are skilled at writing the right language so that these organizations are not just robust, but secure against legislative and legal attack. All right? The city of Oakland didn't do that. It was just, pay me. It's like Godfather, blank you, pay me. And so then Dave later presumably wires that money, and then he needs to run something by Betsy Lake, and he can't even find her. I have the emails that prove that. Okay. And the reason why I mention her is because here she is asking for money for the project manager who hadn't been hired, and yet she's acting like the project manager, and she continued holding herself out as if she were the project manager on a number of occasions. Was she dipping into that till? Or let's take Sheng Tao, our current mayor, with respect to Steve Kawa, the negotiator, Who paid Steve Cowell's freight? Was it the Athletics? So then if it's the Athletics again, you're asking for your developer to pay for all this that you say as a city you need done, when what you should do is, what they should have done was established immediately the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, work with the county, as I said. Why? So you can start collecting that tax increment revenue from that 55 acres, all right? From that 55 acres, and use part of that for administrative costs early on. So and then go to the taxing agencies that you would normally get the base share and say, you know what, we're doing this project, we're trying to save the A's here, we're building a stadium for them, helping them build a stadium. Oakland School Board, I know we can't do this legally, but I want you to go to the California legislature with me, get an exemption so that we can have that tax increment revenue from you, from the 55 acres only, all right, and yet help you build and finance any other project you want built, okay? So we negotiate from that framework. And what we would get is we would get a $20 million base to work with. That's more than enough. That's more than enough to start financing our administrative costs, okay? As opposed to that little sliver of several $100,000 you get because you're working with the increment, you get that plus the base, all right? Be able to grow. That's the way you do it, okay? I guarantee you we would have made groundbreaking by now. I guarantee you we would have made groundbreaking by now. We would have had the financing out of the way. We would have been able to fast track a lot of the approval process because we would have had a separate public financing authority with its own staff and own focus. This is how you do things. So you all who claim to be A's fans, you're not A's fans. What you're fans of? You're fans of the experience you had with other people that was provided by the A's playing baseball. That's different from being a fan of the A's. That's different. If you're a fan of the A's, you don't let your team get screwed by the city of Oakland. And yet, that's what a lot of you are doing. That's why I said, I'm tired of this. I've seen this for 3 decades. But under a strong mayor system, it has gotten progressively worse. And I don't say that to make fun of progressives. I'm talking about progressively in its common pattern, all right? I'm not deriding anybody who's progressive. I don't believe in this left-right stuff anyway. I believe in pointillist, intelligent thinking and approach, respective of institutions that builds new institutions. The city of Oakland avoided doing that, trying to route everything through its city council, and not even on a regularly scheduled basis. So what happens is that you poor folks out there who don't know how this is supposed to go get dragged through the media, because what happens is that the media becomes the star because only they focus on, the big meeting like Howard Terminal. But I'm telling you something. If you had regular meetings over a schedule of months, then the star would be the authority and not the media. And you, because there would be a number of you at those meetings regularly posting them on social media, okay? You would know what's going on. You would see the documents online. It would be a grand alignment of activities and people. That's the way it's supposed to be. And it hasn't happened in this instance, and you should be angry. You should be angry with your city government. That is where your anger should go. But folks, for reasons best known to them, let government get away with a lot. A lot of you don't vote. Let's get it out there, okay? You're not active like you should be. You don't pay attention. And so we get things like what's going on around us happen. And then you wonder why. Pay attention. I don't care if it's boring. Make it interesting. and stop misplacing your anger. Back for more. Subscribe to Zinni62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com.